We're joined now by Dr. Derrell Peel, our livestock marketing specialist. Derrell, let's dive right in and look at how the cattle market situation is shaping up for this entree into 2022.
You know, we're starting the year in very good shape. We finished 2021 strong with a lot of momentum. Prices across the board are well above where they were at this time last year. So, you know, we spent a lot of 2021 kind of getting all the ducks in a row, but they're there, and so we're in a pretty good place to begin this coming year.
We will be getting some USDA reports toward the end of the month. What are you expecting in terms of cattle inventories?
Yeah, we'll be getting our annual numbers, and of course that's a really important report to confirm sort of what happened last year. So we know the cow herd got smaller last year, but how much? And then we'll be looking at things like the replacement heifers to get an idea what we might be going to do this year. We're expecting across the board that we've got tighter cattle numbers. Feeder supplies should be down. And so, you know, we don't quite know how much yet. That's what the report will confirm, but it's going to confirm that on the supply side, we're going to see tighter numbers, and that's going to lead to decreased beef production in 2022.
And how, with that in mind, how do you think that's going to impact prices?
Well, we're starting off with a lot of optimism, clearly forecasting higher prices for cattle across the board. You know, I think it's pretty safe to say something in the neighborhood of 10%. Depending on the class of cattle, and it could wind up even being better than that. I think that's kind of the question now is not whether they'll be higher, but maybe how much they'll be higher as we go through the year.
What do you want us to keep in mind in the weeks ahead?
You know, there are certainly some things we have to keep in mind, and plenty of things that could put some bumps in the road for this optimistic forecast that we've got right now. I think the biggest one right now you have to be concerned about is this newest wave of COVID impacts. There's a couple of ways that could impact us. One is we could see some disruption at processing plants again. I don't think it'll be anything like the initial pandemic stages were, but we could see some slowdowns that would cause some problems there. The other side might just simply be on the consumer side, and depending on what happens, if we slow down, you know, food service kinds of things, that could have some impact, at least for a period of time, on the beef demand. Beyond that, probably the other biggest factor we're watching right now is the drought situation. And so we've got widespread drought, certainly in the southern plains. We're getting drier. And, you know, a couple things right now. Wheat pasture is falling apart pretty fast, so our winter grazing is in jeopardy in the immediate run. The other thing, for the next 2 or 3 months, we're going to be really concerned about wildfire. And that's going to be an important thing for producers to sort of plan for or plan, you know, against, if you will. And then obviously if we get into spring and we're still dry, then we've got much bigger concerns across much of the country with, you know, with the potential implications that would have on cattle numbers and decisions that'll have to be made in the first half of the year.
A lot of stuff to keep in mind, of course, and I guess the key is make adjustments as you need to, and adaptability as always.
Well, you try to be flexible. You know, we're pretty sure the revenue side of things is going to be better. So, you know, keep an eye on cost, manage costs, higher feed costs, input cost in general. That'll be our challenge, one of our bigger challenges this year.
Okay, Derrell Peel, thanks a lot. We'll see you next time.